GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, I'm CJ Waterhouse. We'll start with the RCMP's new anti-smuggling operation in Montreal North, then a look at today's severe thunderstorm and tornado risk across southern Quebec. Traffic's light with only minor delays, and the legendary Dobie and Andy now open at Time Out Market. Over to you, Jeff.
Legendary Dobie and Andy have opened their doors at the Time Out Market in downtown Montreal, offering a menu that blends classic comfort dishes with modern twists.
The new venue occupies the market's third floor, seating up to 100 guests, and features an open kitchen where chefs showcase their signature smoked rib eye sandwich.
Opening earlier this week, Dobie and Andy attracted a line of eager diners, with reservations filling within 24 hours of the announcement.
Lots to get to, let's begin. We'll dive into today's news, from community happenings to cultural highlights, right after this quick glimpse of Montreal's newest dining spot. Good morning, Montreal.
Royal Canadian Mounted Police Eastern Region has launched a coordinated raid this morning in Montreal North as part of an effort to dismantle an alleged smuggling network operating in the neighborhood. Officers entered multiple premises, executing search warrants and detaining several individuals suspected of involvement in the ring. Police spokesperson said the operation is ongoing, and that investigators are still gathering evidence to determine the full scope of the illegal activity. The RCMP has emphasized that the raid is part of its broader strategy to combat organized crime across the greater Montreal area, where similar sweeps have been conducted in recent months. Residents were advised to avoid the targeted streets while the investigation proceeds, and authorities have not yet released details on any charges or seized contraband. The operation underscores law enforcement's focus on disrupting illicit trade that threatens community safety.
At the Montreal Athletics Classic on Wednesday, 19-year-old pole vault prodigy Gabriel Genest cleared a new height, shattering the meet's record. The young athlete, hailing from the local track scene, topped the previous mark by a centimeter, sending cheers through the packed stadium. Officials confirmed the performance will stand as the latest benchmark for the annual competition, which routinely draws Canada's top field athletes. Genest, who has been rising through provincial ranks, said the achievement reflects months of focused training and support from his coaches. The record-breaking vault adds his name to a list that includes former national champions, and it positions him as a contender for upcoming national trials. The crowd erupted when his bar stayed up, marking a moment many will remember. Fans left the arena buzzing, hopeful to see the teenager continue his ascent on the international stage.
Last Tuesday, Montreal Trudeau International Airport opened a rideshare-only boarding zone intended for Uber and Lyft passengers. Within hours, travelers reported severe bottlenecks as the narrow lane forced cars to queue behind arriving flights, even though the day saw relatively low passenger volumes. La Presse cited angry comments from both riders and drivers, noting that the layout forces passengers to navigate crowded corridors and delays luggage retrieval. Airport officials said the zone was designed to streamline pickups, but the unintended congestion has sparked a wave of complaints across social media. Uber and Lyft representatives acknowledged the feedback and promised to work with airport management on possible redesigns. Positioned beside Terminal 2, the cramped space has even caused a handful of travelers to miss scheduled connections on the commuter rail. Meanwhile, the SBVM remains on site to monitor traffic flow and ensure safety amid the growing frustration.
Service on the Réseau Express Métropolitain has been halted between Canora and Côte de Lys stations after a track problem was detected during this morning's rush hour. REM officials confirmed that trains cannot pass the affected segment, leaving commuters on both sides of the disruption to seek alternative transportation. The outage, which began in the early rush, is still ongoing, and engineers are working to diagnose and repair the fault. The REM, the city's rapid transit backbone, carries thousands of riders each peak period, so the interruption is expected to strain bus routes and park and ride lots along the corridor. Authorities have asked passengers to monitor real-time updates via the REM app and station announcements as crews continue their assessment. No estimated restoration time has been provided at this point. Officials say the priority is safety and will keep the public informed as the situation evolves.
Reported data breach incidents across the province have surged dramatically, rising 559% over the past 3 years, according to a joint study by the Quebec Access to Information Commission and independent cybersecurity researchers. The same analysis found that stolen medical records are now fetching between $250 and $1,000 per person on underground markets. The spike coincides with the rollout of the province's new digital health records platform, prompting heightened scrutiny from privacy advocates and officials. Researchers warn that the increased value of health data makes it a prime target for organized cybercrime groups. Provincial authorities have not disclosed specific response measures, but the Commission says it is reviewing reporting protocols and urging organizations to strengthen encryption and access controls. Experts caution that continued exposure could undermine public confidence in the health system and increase insurance costs for patients.
We'll break down the severe thunderstorms and tornado risk forecast for southern Quebec Thursday, and why you might stay indoors. We will be right back.
Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm glad you're still with us. Jeff Laflamme now brings the local stories you need to hear today.
Violent thunderstorms are forecast for southern Quebec today, with meteorologists warning of a possible tornado outbreak. The severe weather is tied to an ongoing intense heat wave that has pushed temperatures to record levels across the region, increasing atmospheric instability. Environment Canada has issued a high-risk thunderstorm warning for the area, urging people to secure loose objects, avoid travel on exposed roads, and stay tuned to local alerts. Schools and businesses are reviewing contingency plans as lightning strikes and hail could cause power interruptions. Residents in low-lying neighborhoods are advised to be prepared for rapid flooding. The combination of extreme heat and moisture creates the perfect recipe for rotating storms that can spawn brief but damaging tornadoes. Authorities will monitor conditions throughout the day and update the public as needed.
The province announced today a plan to roll out new neighborhoods built from prefabricated homes. Officials say the scheme will span roughly 30 regions across Quebec, offering units priced under $350,000. By using factory-built components, the government hopes to cut construction time and bring more affordable options to families searching for their first home. Planners expect the homes to meet local standards while delivering modern layouts, heating and energy efficiency features that can lower monthly bills. The initiative could also create jobs in manufacturing and installation, giving a boost to local economies. Residents in areas with limited housing stock may see new choices appear within a few years, easing pressure on the current market. For many renters, the prospect of owning a home at that price point could reduce the need to stay in high-rent apartments and shorten daily commutes.
Yesterday, roughly 600 tenants and members of a coalition against high rent gathered in the city to protest soaring rental costs. Demonstrators marched through the downtown core, holding signs that called attention to the scarcity of affordable housing. Organizers said the recent surge in rents has forced many renters into precarious situations, with some losing their homes entirely. The protest follows a broader trend of escalating housing prices across the region, which officials acknowledge is outpacing wage growth. Participants urged policymakers to implement stronger rent control measures and increase the supply of low-income units. Police reported the gathering remained peaceful, though traffic was briefly disrupted near the main thoroughfare. Many attendees voiced concerns that rising rents are forcing families to cut back on groceries and childcare. The rally underscores the mounting pressure on renters as the market continues to tighten.
Montreal cyclists are sounding alarms over the city's online bike lane survey, which began in June. Riders say the digital questionnaire could skew planning decisions and expose personal information. The municipality launched the consultation to collect input for expanding the bike path network, but critics argue the platform lacks transparency and may favor certain routes. Cyclists worry that data collected could be linked to their identities, deterring honest feedback and risking privacy breaches. The dispute has sparked heated discussion on social media and at local bike clubs where members worry that future lane placements might ignore everyday riding patterns. City officials maintain the survey is secure and aimed at improving safety for all commuters. The consultation remains open, inviting continued comments as the debate over privacy and impartiality unfolds. Residents who rely on two-wheel commuting are watching closely for any changes.
The province's biggest waste disposal site in Terrebonne is undergoing an urgent expansion to accommodate more than 1.2 million tons of additional material. Work began early Wednesday and is proceeding under a schedule that will keep the megasite operational while new capacity is added. Officials say the enlargement responds to a recent surge in waste volumes that threaten to outpace the site's existing limits. Construction crews are reinforcing the perimeter, extending the leachate collection system and adding new cells for long-term burial. The expansion also incorporates upgraded monitoring systems aimed at protecting groundwater and air quality, a response to concerns voiced by nearby households. The project is expected to run through the coming months, ensuring that residential curbside collections can continue without interruption. Residents in surrounding boroughs may notice increased truck traffic as the facility scales up to meet the heightened demand.
Now let's check in with our weather team for the afternoon outlook across the island. A weakening ridge and an accelerating jet from the west are stirring low pressure, setting up a hot, unsettled afternoon. On this date, Montreal's record high of 35.3 degrees was set in 2018 during an unprecedented heat wave that pushed the city into the upper 30s for several days. The record low of 13.2 degrees fell in 2016, a rare Arctic dip that arrived with a sudden cold front and snow showers far north of the city. By contrast, the climatological average for early July hovers around 26 degrees high and 22 low, making today's temperatures comfortably above normal, but well below the historic peak. The live radar screen is entirely clear across the province. No rain echoes are present. A stable air mass sits under a modest low-pressure system that is currently suppressing lift, while the jet stream overhead streams westward at roughly 65 kilometers per hour, reinforcing dry conditions. With no moisture bands in sight, we expect the calm to persist through the afternoon and into the evening before the next system arrives later in the week. Turning now to today's outlook. At noon, Montreal sits under mostly cloudy skies with a temperature of 26 degrees and a dew point of 23, creating a humid feel. Low pressure is falling, and the jet stream to the west is injecting faster upper-level winds that keep the atmosphere unsettled despite the lack of rain. The wind is blowing 12 kilometers per hour from the southwest, gusting up to 27 kilometers per hour, so a breezy sensation will accompany the heat. The UV index reads 7. A heat warning remains active for the island and surrounding regions, so residents should stay aware of the elevated temperatures. Temperatures will climb to 32 degrees by mid-afternoon, remain near 31 as clouds thicken toward sunset, and then dip to 22 overnight. Friday brings another clear sky with a high of 31 and a low of 20, maintaining today's warmth under the same low-pressure pattern. Saturday cools slightly to a high of 28 and a low of 18. A modest 25% chance of rain appears in the late afternoon as a weak trough nudges the jet stream southward. Sunday shifts to overcast conditions, holding a high of 27 and a low of 18, as lingering moisture lingers over the lake effect corridor. Monday rebounds to clear skies, reaching 29 degrees high and 19 low, while the jet stream reestablishes a more zonal flow. Tuesday caps the stretch with a sunny high of 30 and a low of 19, keeping the heat warning in effect through the weekend. Forecast. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Minor traffic delays, the new legendary Dobie and Andy at Time Out Market, and Ivan Demidov's 8-year Canadians extension. We will be right back. Watch the local sunset tonight at 6 p.m. for all your local Montreal news.
St. Denis Street is closed between de Maisonneuve Boulevard East and St. Catherine Street East, forcing traffic onto nearby arteries. Drivers heading downtown should divert onto St. Laurent, then use Rue St. Urbain to rejoin St. Denis north of the closure, or slip onto Rue Shair for a parallel route. The loss of that segment adds roughly 5 to 10 minutes to the usual travel time during the morning peak. Elsewhere, roadwork continues on Berry Street and on de Maisonneuve East Boulevard, where lane reductions are in place. Expect a steady flow of traffic, but allow an extra 3 to 5 minutes when crossing those zones, especially near the university campus. Aside from those sites, the rest of the network remains clear, and we anticipate normal conditions through the afternoon. No transit disruptions have been reported, so the metro and bus lines are running on schedule.
Legendary Dobie and Andy have just opened their doors at Time Out Market Montreal, bringing the iconic Chinatown barbecue to the downtown Eaton Center. Food lovers can finally taste those famous char siu ribs and roasted duck without a subway ride. Right next door, Cirque du Soleil's Echo Photo exhibition is on display at the same market, offering a behind-the-scenes look at the troupe's most daring moments, perfect for a quick visual escape during lunch. If you're wandering the streets, Les Premier's Vendredi's Street Food Festival is in full swing, turning the first weekend of each month into a global tasting tour with live music and cultural flair. And mark your calendars for July 25, when the King of Parody, Weird Al Yankovic, will take the stage for a free outdoor concert at Place des Festivals as part of Just for Laughs. And now here's Jason with sports.
Here's the latest on Montreal's hockey moves and roster shakeups. On July 1st, the Canadiens locked up forward Ivan Demidov with an 8-year extension worth a $9.15 million average annual value, making him the club's highest-paid forward. The deal was announced by Habs' eyes on the prize. Also on July 1st, the Habs added depth to the Laflamme Rocket, signing forward Samuel Poulin and defenseman Ethan Sampson to 1-year, 2-way contracts. Both agreements were disclosed by Habs' eyes on the prize as part of the opening day of free agency. On June 29, the Vancouver Canucks acquired forward Brendan Gallagher from Montreal in exchange for future considerations, according to CBC Sports NHL. The trade marks another roster change for the Habs as they continue reshaping the lineup ahead of the upcoming season.
Wing Noodles in the heart of Chinatown returns to the spotlight, this time as an exhibition that traces the Lee family's decades-long journey from a modest noodle stall to a favorite. Visitors can wander through vintage menus, handwritten recipes, and photographs that capture the clatter of the kitchen and the laughter of regulars. The showcase not only honors the flavors that shaped a neighborhood, it also highlights how the restaurant became a gathering place for newcomers and longtime residents alike. For Montreal, Wing Noodles is more than a meal. It's a living thread that weaves together culture, community, and the city's identity. The exhibition runs through the end of October, inviting locals and tourists to taste the story with a complimentary dumpling at the entry. And later, celebrate Chinatown's iconic Wing Noodles as it returns in a vibrant exhibition honoring its storied history. Right after this.
Coming up tonight at 6, the local sunset. Your neighborhood, your city, your news. From City Hall decisions to the stories happening right on your street, we cover what matters most to Montrealers. Join us tonight at 6 p.m. on GMNA for the local Sunset, Montreal's evening newscast.
Canada Day returns to the Old Port with a free, family-friendly celebration along the river, featuring live music, a citizenship ceremony, and interactive activities that bring the city together. The festivities are centered at Grand Quai, 1 Port de Montreal Street. Carl Dumont is there. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. I'm on the bustling Grand Quai, the river sparkling under a bright July sky, the scent of grilled kebabs mixing with fresh maple. Families spread blankets, kids chase bubbles near the Stone Quay, and thousands of Montrealers gather for a free, family-friendly Canada Day celebration. The theme, In Montreal, Canada Comes Together in Motion, drives the live music as Enema Aura's synth-pop blends with King Melrose's guitar, while William Cloutier and Antonin Prince perform on a floating stage. The Le Canada Enmark parade rolls past, flags snapping in the breeze, followed by a solemn citizenship ceremony and a 21-gun salute. Food trucks line the promenade, serving poutine, smoked salmon, and maple donuts, while interactive zones let kids try drumming and digital art. This day reminds us that our shared stories keep the city's heart beating as one. For many, the ceremony marks the first time their families hear the anthem on Canadian soil, turning a public festival into a personal milestone. Carl Dumont virtually at Grand Quai.
On a bright Saturday afternoon, the Place des Festivals fills with the hum of anticipation. Families spread blankets on the green, street vendors push carts of steaming poutine, and the scent of fresh popcorn drifts through the air. At the center of it all, the king of parody, Weird Al Yankovic, steps onto the stage set against the skyline of Montreal, his signature Hawaiian shirt bright as the summer sun. The crowd swells as the first chords of Eat It ripple from his accordion, and strangers find themselves laughing together, clapping in rhythm. A young girl in a superhero cape twirls beside her grandfather, both singing every goofy lyric without missing a beat. The free concert, part of the annual Just for Laughs festival, turns the plaza into a spontaneous living room, where the city's diverse voices blend into one joyful chorus. When the final note of Amish Paradise fades, the applause rolls like a wave, a reminder that music can bring strangers together for a moment of pure, shared delight. It's a simple, unforgettable slice of community that makes Montreal feel a little brighter.
In the heart of the plateau, beneath the shade of an old maple, seniors from the Centre Communautaire du Plateau gathered around a misting fan. They had watched the temperature rise over the past week, a heat wave that began in Ontario and Quebec and now stretches toward the Maritimes. While the mercury climbs, neighbors turn the park into a cooling hub, bakeries donating baguettes and lemonade, volunteers setting up chairs and handing out water bottles. One volunteer, a teenage cyclist named Amelie, pedaled 3 blocks to fetch a cooler from her aunt's store, just in time to refill the station before the sun hit its peak. Children from nearby schools arrived with their own ice cream trucks, an air filled with laughter rather than the hiss of air conditioners. Down the street, the community garden on Rue Saint Laurent erected a shade canopy from pallets. Residents painted suns on the fabric, turning heat into a canvas of optimism. As the sun dipped behind St. Lawrence, mist caught the light, reminding everyone that a wave of heat can be met with cool cooperation. It reminds us that in the hottest days, Montreal's spirit stays cool.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the lunch break. That record-breaking pole vault jump by 19-year-old Gabriel Genest reminded us how high our city can soar. We appreciate your attention and look forward to bringing you more stories tomorrow. See you then. Stay safe with the thunderstorm outlook and keep the conversation going.